I'm Reuben Canada. I'm the creator of Jin+Ja. Jin+Ja is an elixir that I created in my kitchen back in 2009, and it's basically, if you could imagine putting powerful invigoration in a bottle. I went into Mother Nature's cabinet and picked out the most potent of herb medicines, fresh ginger, cayenne pepper, and green tea, and blended them together into this harmonious, flavorful liquid supplement. I think the biggest obstacle that I had starting off as an entrepreneur is feeling like I had to know everything from the jump, and the amount of doubt and inertia that can cause. So overcoming that was probably the biggest obstacle, and getting out of this mindset that you learn working in a corporate environment, which is you've got to navigate a bunch of no's and political environments in order to get something done. Whereas when you're doing your own company and you're being an entrepreneur, there are none of those obstacles, and the only obstacles that you need to figure out is how to actually get from point A to point B with the project itself. There's so many things that we've accomplished as human beings. It's just, nothing is impossible. It's just what you can imagine is impossible. So I came to Philadelphia back in 2008 as a patent attorney. I had gone to law school at Howard University. I went to college at Swarthmore College down in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. And after I graduated college, I went from job to job, just trying things out to see if it actually suited me and if it gave me that satisfaction and fulfillment. And I went through 5 different careers to figure out that my heart wasn't in it, and no matter how much I wanted this next job to be it so that I wouldn't have to look anymore, I couldn't lie to myself. And I also, by the time I became a lawyer, I realized this is not going to happen unless I actually make some affirmative steps to making it happen, which is finding that satisfaction. It's just not, I'm not gonna be able to imagine myself into it or think myself into it. I'm gonna have to keep trying, and maybe I'm gonna have to change tactics. Instead of just looking for another career, maybe I need to start paying attention to what interests me and start living those questions instead of hoping that the answer just stumbles upon me one day when I reach a certain position. So, that honest moment, it was that fear that I would never feel that satisfaction and that sense of accomplishments and that character developing adventure that I always wanted out of life. So when I actually created Jin+Ja, and it was just a personal project that I just loved refining, I was just having the most fun. I hadn't had this much fun since I was 10 years old, and I perfected chocolate chip cookies. When chocolate chip cookies, I actually put a whole bunch in like a little bit of each ingredient and tested one at a time to find out what each ingredient did to the final product, and then played around with temperature and timing until I was like, this is the perfect chocolate chip cookie. And I actually sold it in school for like $3 a dozen. This is back in the 80s, and that was a lot of money. So I was coming in with nickels and dimes from kids, and every day they were like, you got those chocolate chip cookies? And I had that much fun with Jin+Ja, and my friends loved it, and we'd sit around as lawyers and we're talking about, what, this could be this amazing company. And like lawyers, we just love to talk, like risk adverse, but we love to talk about good ideas, and like, yeah, you go and do that. And I was like, what, if this is the idea, and if this is the last one that I get, because I've had a couple of good ideas, and I didn't man up at the time. I was afraid. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of losing the little bit that I had had at the time. But I was like, look, I don't want this to be one of those things that I look back with like a bittersweet memory of, this could have been amazing and you could have been the one to do it. So it was that fear that actually propelled me forward to, at first, just dip my toe in the pool and start figuring out what supplies I needed as far as a bottle, and figured out a name, and then we just give it out as samples to people. And then the manager of this little store on 20th and Spruce, she said she loved it. And then it was around New Year. She said, look, I want you to make me a gallon. I will pay you for this. And I was like, you're gonna pay me for something that I made in my kitchen? Okay. And she said, well, how much do you want for a gallon? I said, $100. And she said, fine. And I said, this is worth $100 or something. And I was blown away. And I was like, this isn't an easy process. I mean, you go around and mess around and make some Jin+Ja in your kitchen. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna take you about 6 hours and you're gonna be done with it. You're gonna be finished it before the day is out. So you're gonna have to go make some more. And that's what I was finding I was doing. So I was like, all right. I bought her some and she said, look, I'm gonna bring this to the owner because I think that you should sell this. So I was like, all right, and this is all me just, kind of dipping my toe in the pool. I'm not really ready to embrace that I am going to do this. I am just like, maybe this is gonna work, maybe it's not, but we're gonna, okay, and then we're just gonna take it one step at a time, put one foot in front of the next. We're not gonna think about, this being the next big thing. We're just gonna, whatever happens next, and we're just gonna approach this like, I'm just curious to see how far this is gonna go. So the owner came out, his name is Jay, and he said, Reuben, this is very powerful. And Jay is Korean, like, serious Korean accent. So he's like, no drugs though, right? And I was like, no, there's no drugs in here. It's just cayenne pepper and fresh ginger and green tea, and it's got mint tea, and it's got some lemon and some cane sugar. So he's like, look, I think this is great, but I don't want you to get your hopes up because most businesses fail. And in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, I know they do. About 80 or 90% of them just fail right out. But this is special. And in the back of my mind, I knew at that point that there was nothing that I would not do to give this the best chance in the world of succeeding. I knew at that moment, while we were sitting there looking at the cold case, and he's like moving out the vitamin water to make room right up front for Jin+Ja. And I'm like, I am going to make this work. And I said, I can have your first order in a week. So I got all the supplies, and then that Friday came and I said, I'm gonna drop it by at 3 o'clock, and I was getting everything ready. I had like some nice little hang tags and everything. And it was about 2:45 and I was like, I'm all done. I'm ready to make my first delivery, make my first dollar selling Jin+Ja into the retail. And I had a moment and I said, you could stop right now, not go to this store, and avoid all of the possible heartache, pain, tears, and disappointment from being devastated because this didn't work out. Because, you get a couple of like failures in your life and you start, that sort of feeling, you wanna avoid it because it doesn't feel good. It never feels good to not win or succeed. But it was that moment, I was like, nobody would really say anything. Your friends would just go, okay, it was a good idea, but no worries. And I just wasn't willing to be disappointed in myself for not giving it a try. And that actually propelled me forward, and it made me rethink what that feeling was. And it was just me having to accept whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, but I'm gonna give everything I got. I'm gonna figure it out, whatever I have to do, whatever has to be done, we just got to do it. And however bad it hurts, well, we're just gonna find out.